You just finished watching the season finale of your favorite series, and you find yourself filled with a pressing need to share your thoughts on it. Knowing that none of your friends watch it, you jump to the internet and are immediately confronted with countless posts discussing the plot, detailing the strengths and weaknesses of the writing, and the highlights of the entire 8 seasons. You insert yourself in countless discussions and feel a sense of belonging to this community of people who share the same interest. But it does not take too long for you to notice that the level at which they are discussing the series is significantly higher than yours. It turns out that most of them had read the books. You think about it and wonder why you had never bothered to read the books.
Listen to me, man. I don't understand it.
It just seems ridiculous, almost offensive, that you should be expected to invest that much time and effort to show your deep appreciation for your favorite series. These are different mediums, you tell yourself. TV and books are just meant for different things. Appreciation is not mutually exclusive. One can still fully appreciate one without caring for the other, you convince yourself. However, to fully appreciate the story, one has to consume both. And so, the highest demonstration of interest in the actual story is in reading all the books and watching all the episodes. Anyone who has done less is operating at a suboptimal level. And so the next question hits you. What exactly have you ever been so interested in that you totally immersed yourself in it? Something that would qualify you to be amongst the top 10%? You have not listened to every album that your favorite artist has put out. Some songs you were fine not listening to. You like sports, but it is not an everyday thing for you, like it is for some people. It is not even a weekly thing. Even the food that you like, you have never taken interest in the recipe, in knowing its origins, and attempting to make different recipes and trying out different ways to improve your dish. You scratch your brain for something, for anything, no matter how small or trivial. Something that just comes so effortless to you, that requires no resolve. Something that you know like the back of your hand. Even the video games you play, you love them a lot, but you've not reached the highest level. You play passively. You watch passively. You listen passively. All your interests, even the ones you know resonate deeply with you, are passive pastimes. You are a passive consumer. With a shameful clarity, you realize that even if the time were given to you for you to delve deeper into your interests, your video games, for example, you would soon find it a burden more than a hobby. The mere thought is a little infuriating. You realize that watching movies is not as fun when there are no pressing responsibilities that need virtual escape, that even playing and listening to albums from your favorite artists all day would soon feel like a dread. You realize that your capacity for developing deep interest, for taking the time to be an active consumer, is so limited that you doubt you are even capable of it. You find that you always need something to be the reason why you are not as invested in anything. Even the things that you like, even the things that you love, you always find a reason not to be fully immersed in it, or a reason always finds you. This, interestingly, is normal because a majority of us seem to be that way. Which brings us to the curious case of Terrence Howard. Now let's begin. It is important to emphasize that genius is a significant word that should not be used as loosely as it often is today. It originally derives from Latin and Roman traditions. See, in those times, when someone was exceptional at something, they were said to have a great genius accompanying them. Now, the original attribution of extraordinary abilities to a deity was progressively transformed, modified, and some would say devolved from he has a great genius accompanying him to the present day, he is a genius. Now, to retrieve the baby from the bathwater and retain the original sentiment of the word, genius should be reserved for describing truly exceptional and rare achievements. Anything less takes away from the impact of its meaning, which brings us to today's subject of discussion. Terrence Howard, who until recently had been largely known for his acting abilities, has come out of the closet as a mathematician, a chemist, an engineer, a physicist, an astrologist, biologist, you name it. He is a polarizing case study because on the one hand, most, if not all, experts in the sciences, math and physics for example, consider him highly misinformed with very little to offer to either physics or math at present. While on the other hand, some casual consumers of media and science who have been taken in by his charisma, delivery, and seemingly impressive depth of knowledge across various fields consider him a genius. They believe he is being actively ignored and conspired against by those in high positions for fear that he might prove the epistemic foundations of their fields wrong. Now, there are some people in the middle who feel they are not informed enough to know whether he's misinformed or a genius. Now, if experts are to be trusted, if their word means anything, then Terrence Howard is misinformed. If that is the case, does it disqualify him from being a genius? Could he just be a misinformed genius? Now, this would be the case if Terrence did not fail to understand the basic foundations upon which the disciplines he is criticizing are built. He would understand that his criticism of 1 + 1 = 2 is a semantic and linguistic criticism, not a mathematical one. Now, to criticize the basics, one has to first understand them. Terrence has demonstrated a profound failure to do so. As such, regarding this matter, labeling him a genius would be inaccurate. The burden of proof lies with those who disagree to prove us otherwise. Now, it is important to point out that this does not imply that he is not smart. It is evident that his brain is highly capable and able to manipulate difficult concepts from various and disparate fields of inquiry, making him a polymath of some sort. He's not a genius in the sciences, but he is a genius in something else. Terrence Howard is a genius of curiosity and interest. Geniuses are not limited to academic studies. As we have already acknowledged in the opening, exceptional ability or achievement is the criterion. While being a successful actor in Hollywood without formal training, Terrence Howard dedicated his private time not only to reading up on fields totally unrelated to his own, but also to teaching himself how these fields work and how they are related to one another. His pronunciation of some words indicates that he has only encountered them in books. One would not be far off in assuming that exceptionally few people take a personal interest in reading and learning calculus of their own accord. Still, even fewer go on to develop technologies based on what they have learned or spend decades working on a personal theorem, whether wrong or right, that they have developed. Most people require financial compensation for such arduous exploration. Beneath Terrence's misinformation, he demonstrates sheer passion, deep curiosity, and a great interest in these fields. It is as if the unanswered questions exert a weight from which he feels compelled to liberate himself by seeking answers. He seems immersed in this pursuit. His mental real estate appears largely occupied by it. This is reflected in his impressive record of complicated numbers like the square root of 2.
Take the square root of 2, 1.414213562373095. You cube it, it's 2.828427121746190. Divide it by 2, it gets back to 1.414. Cube it again, it's back to 2.828. Divide it by 2, back to 1.414.
His recollection of the sequence of elements in the periodic table, his familiarity with difficult and esoteric concepts like spatial dimensions, and his generation of shapes and geometrical objects. Immersing oneself so deeply in something when the incentives come primarily from a place of sheer curiosity and interest is beyond the strength of many of us, let's be honest. Terrence Howard possesses unfettered interest and curiosity, free from contamination by self-doubt, lethargy, and lack of resolve. Not everyone has the capacity for obsession with ideas. Not everyone can be obsessed. This level of curiosity and interest from someone who is already successful in another field is exceptional and impressive. We can take a leaf from Terrence's book and honor, respect, and even deify our own personal interests that the world might judge us for. Be a genius of interest, be a genius of curiosity and of appreciation for your own hobby. Maybe you could change your own world like Terrence did. His world, wrong or not, misinformed or not, is much richer and full of meaning for having pursued his dream and for having challenged and learned. Terrence Howard is a genius, just not the genius you expected. Until next time, Bloggers Musings, adding value, one essay at a time.